I am 58 years old. When I was young back in the 1980s, traveling abroad felt much more realistic for Japanese people than it does today. America, in particular, had a special attraction. Hawaii, Los Angeles, New York. Hawaii, Los Angeles, New York. If you saved some money, these were places you could actually imagine visiting, and many people of my generation really did travel overseas. Japan had moment back then. The yen was strong, and it was not unusual to see Japanese tourists spending money abroad. People bought luxury goods at duty-free shops in Hawaii, filled their carts in America supermarket, and came home carrying large suitcases packed with banyas. Many Japanese people now in their 50s and 60s remember that period very well. But Japan in the 2020s very different. Young Japanese people do not travel about very much anymore. One reason is very simple. It has become too expensive. If you go to America, the airfare is expensive. Hotels are expensive. Even an ordinary meal at a restaurant can cost far more than what Japanese people are used to paying at home. For people earning their salaries, yen, an overseas trip has become a much heavier financial burden than it once was. As a result, many younger Japanese people have began to feel that they simply are not rich enough to travel abroad easily. I think this is an important point. At first, travel became too expensive. Then people stop thinking about going abroad. If they stop thinking about it, they don't bother getting a passport. And after a year of that, they're interested in foreign countries instead begin to fade. It is not that young Japanese people were born desiring forget continues. In many cases, overseas travel has simply become too financially distant that it has gradually disappeared from their its of interest. For someone like me at 58, that is rather sad charms. When we were in our 20s, we still had enough room in our life to think, I want to see other country. Today, many young people look at the cost of an overseas trip and immediately decide that is impossible for me. And yet, At the same time, large number of Americans are coming to Japan. That is where the situation becomes a little ironic. An American tourist goes into restaurant in Japan, eats a full meal, look at the bill and says, it's that really at its cost that they find out there is no tipping at their surprise again. They go into a conversation stop, buy drinks, rice balls, sandwich, and dessert, and are amazed that the total still feels cheap in dollars. At drugstore, they feel big with cuisine and dairy goods. At the 100 yen shop, they sometimes check at the 100 shops. They sometimes check the price twice because they cannot believe how incredibly careful things are. For Japanese people who live in yen, these prices feel normal. But for Americans alive with dollars, Japan can feel remarkably cheap. Whenever I forget tourists like that in Tokyo, I think back more than 30 years. Back then, Japanese people went abroad and said, America is huge or America is amazing. Now America come to Japan and are surprised by how affordable things are here. Meanwhile, the young Japanese person walking next to them may never have been to America, may not even own a passport, and may already think of overseas travels as something too expensive for people like them. Few things show how much the times have changed more clear than that. For Japanese people, there is something a little frustrating about it. A country where citizens once spent few overseas is now being decided by foreign visitors as a cheap country. But from an American point of view, Japan today must be a fabulous place. You eat a meal and are surprised by the price. You walk into a shop and the surprise again. Things that have become expensive in America can still feel relatively affordable in Japan. So I understand why foreign tourists often look so happy here. At 58, when I see them, also feel a little envious. My generation was able to go to see America when we were young. For young Japanese people today, that same America has become much further away, not in distance, in money, and after being unbearable to go for so long, some young people have finally reached the point where they simply say, I don't really need to go. It's not that Japanese people suddenly stopped admiring the outside world. Japanese had become a country where many young people see the price, the fuss, and give up before that admirably even has a choice at beginning. That is the part I find the saddest at 58. Thank you. Bye bye. さようなら。ありがとう。